We are going to be creating a scene which involves cubes reacting to audio. Before we get started, there are a few things we are going to need. The first thing is Blender. This is where we're going to be creating our 3D model of our cube or platform. Element 3D, which is a 3D based particle engine that we're going to use to import our cube. Sound keys. This will synchronize the motion of our cube to the beat of the music. And then there's optical flares. This is completely optional. I just use this plugin to add more of an atmospheric effect to the scene. Okay, once you have Blender downloaded, which is free, you can go get it for free. Just go to blender.org and download the appropriate version for your computer. Okay, so it already gave us a cube to start with. So let's just extend this a little bit. That way, so when it comes out of the ground, it doesn't go above, and then you can see it float above, unless you want it to do that. So completely up to you. So what we're going to do is go to tab. Oh, hold on. Let me turn on that for you, so you can see what I click down here. Well, I'm using the Maya preset for the controls. So that's what I'm using. So if you hold down Alt, you can rotate around the first mouse button using the first mouse button, and then whatnot. Middle mouse button to go like this. Hold down Alt, the middle mouse button. Right mouse button while holding Alt. Okay. So what we're gonna do is press Tab to enter the edit mode for this object. Now I just want a simple cube, but I still want a little bit of variety than just a plain cube. If you want a cube, you can just leave this here and wait for me to catch up to you. Anyway, what I'm going to do is go to the faces, press Alt X, right click to let go, press R, scale it down. Then press Control R, and we're giving this design here. And we're going to select this, bring it down just a little bit. I'm just quickly adding some design here. Maybe a little thicker. So what I'm doing now is going to be creating some stripes that are going to glow when the beat changes. Whoops. So I'm going to Control R, then use the mouse wheel to set how many you need. I just need 2. Then squish. Seems about right. There we go. Then we need to create some materials for this. So go to the sphere up here, checkered sphere. And there's already a material. We'll call this body. And then make a plus while this object's still selected. Press plus, new material. And this will be our glow. Now to visually see that before we take it into element, whoops, click this color here. Change the color. And if you're on cycles, if you are a previous Blender user, then you have to use the render to see the change. I like using cycles, but for me if I'm bringing in the element, I like to use Blender render so I can quickly see the change here. Now, let's select these faces that we want to change color. And make sure that your glow color is in this list here, or it won't work. Like this. Then click the glow, assign. Woohoo! We have our cube that will be going up and down. Now it's time to create the platform. So I'm going to go to another layer here, Shift A, and go to cube. I'm going to scale this up to be about the same size as. You can hold down Shift to scale it even slower. That's about right. Then I'm going to have it about there. Let's bring that down. Let's keep it there. Now I'm going to do this, give it the same theme or design. Give it the same theme or design as our cube to kind of bring it all together. I'm going to bring this in. I press Control R to do a edge loop and put it right about there. And then I'm going to select this entire object and give it the body. Then give it a new material. And then select glow. Then go to select these faces here. Now you can create your own design for a platform. Then go to glow and assign. There we go. Now that we have those, a cube here, we'll go to these there. So let's select the cube, File, Export, OBJ, Desktop, the fun cube. Now we want to click Selection Only. Since we have multiple objects in our scene, we want to export them one at a time. So Selection Only, Right Normals. If you don't click that, it will cause problems in Element. Going to have to come back in here and re-export if you don't click that. So the cube, export. And we'll do the same for our platform. Export, OBJ, the fun cube. Wait, no, floor. Wanted the floor. Selection only, right normals. Export. Okay. So what we do, create a new layer, call it element. Element. Okay. Click OK. Effect. Element. Go to scene setup. Import. Let's do the floor first. Ta-da! Floor. Okay. Now the cube. There is our cube. What we're going to do now is take the shiny in the materials. Drop that on there. Go to Studio. Then we're going to take the flat color here so we can easily add a glow to it. But I don't want the green to be that dark. There we go. We have a really bright green here. Let's go to the floor. That shiny. We're going to duplicate this here. Drop that onto our floor. And we'll make this like a gold color. Gold-ish. This is definitely not gold. If you want gold and if you have the Pro shaders, you can go to metal. Wait, or is it in the oh, here we go. We can have a gold. But I want that yellow there. Let's drag the yellow back on there. Tron. I think that's basically what we're doing. See? Tron usually has these hard lines. Like black color, bright color for lines. Okay. And you can use any material. You don't have to do exactly as I'm doing. So you can go back to your cube and if you really wanted to have dirt. And since we didn't do the proper UVing, we didn't unwrap this blender, just click on this tab up here for the cube, and instead of using the UVs for the object, just click box perspective. And that way you can get this cube here. You can have a dirt cube. But I want to keep that shine. We need to set the cube on group 2 and 3, the floor on 1, and press OK. So right click on an empty space or go up to Layer, New, Camera. 35 millimeter. Here we go. So what we need to do is for our layers, since our floor is on 1, we don't want to create it for 1. We want to create a null for group 2, the group null, and group 3, create a null for that. Then, using Layer, New, Null Object. I have a button on my mouse that creates a null object for me. So we'll call this green cube 1 control. Control null. I will see green cube 1 null 2. Green cube 1 null 1. There we go. Okay. Now we select these two nulls, attach it to the control null. And let's make these layers. Click this red cube here and let's make it green. Because depending on how many cubes you'll have in your scene, it's easier to assign the layer color to whatever color your cube is. Oh, and make sure that null, the control null, is 3D. So let's take this null here, move number 1 down. There we go. And there's our cube. So when we scale this down, it'll bring all the cubes. So I'm using the control null here. So we scale it down, we can easily move the cubes up and down, left and right, and so on and so on. So if we go to element here, click enable the animation engine 2 to 3. Now if it starts off at the top first, and then if you go up to 100% and it's down at the bottom, just switch it from group 2 to 3 and group 3 to 2, so it reverses it. So what we want to do though is take this null, move this up so it starts off right there, and then it goes up. Okay, that looks like the cube. Yep, it's too high. So grab number 2, which is group 2, pull that down so it's intersecting that floor there. Okay, so the reason why we're creating this control comp is that when we bring it into the main comp 2. Let me close these other ones. So when we bring it into this comp, it'll be easy. So what we need to do is Control C for copy, or edit copy. Just edit copy, yeah. And bring it into here. So create a camera. Oh, not a null. New camera. Okay, there is our platform. There we are. Okay, so what we're going to do is duplicate this element layer. We're going to call this one floor. This one element green cube 1 E3D for element 3D. Okay, so this floor is a yellow color, so we'll make that yellow. We're going to go into the floor layer and delete those cubes, because this is going to be our control layer for the floor. Okay, so let's go back into here. The reason why we made this control comp, so we can slightly name these layers here to a different name. So when we copy it into this layer, it won't interfere with these nulls. So if I just copy it in here, move it up here, like, oh, this will be the blue cube. So if I want to move this cube here, it's not going to work because this element layer is still attached to these layers. So that's why we made the control comp. So we can easily go blue cube 1 element 3D. Then we can go here, blue, blue. You know, lots of naming. It will take time to create your scene. And if you come up with a better way of creating stuff for this animation or this effect, go right ahead and play with things too. But this is just how I figured how to set it up. So now that we have these all blue, Control C, bring it in. And since it's a blue cube, we'll give it blue. Okay. So we will now take the control null and move it over. Oh, come on, null. Oh, baby. Okay. Okay, so we're getting a problem here. It's not looking right, you know. See? I mean, this is supposed to be in front of this cube, right? But this floor here is covering this since we're using layers. The reason why that's happening is because this blue layer is still using colors from our floor layer. Now we want to make it invisible, but still have the cube intersect with the floor so it all looks like it's one scene. So to do that, you just use the matte shadow from your materials. Bam! So it's invisible, right? So when we go back to this layer, bam! Oh. So we need to do that with the other green layer too, since we duplicated it from there. So just drag it onto this floor here, invisible, bam. Now, we're getting a problem here where this is supposed to be behind this cube, but since we're working with layers, the blue cube is perspectively is supposed to be behind here where this edge is, but since it's on top, it's not giving the correct one. So just drag it below the green cube. And now it looks like it's in the same scene. Let's go back to the control comp, go back to that blue layer, and let's do the same thing for this floor so that we don't need to keep doing this over and over again. So I'm going to press OK. So that's why we created the control layer to control these two nulls so we can easily move. So we can easily move it anywhere on the platform here. If we go to the animation, so we can easily move it. There. Okay. Let's just move that back. Let's go to the blue cube here. Let's just change this green to blue. Press OK. Now we just need to add sound. So we just create a new solid. Type the sound keys. Now, depending on how many cubes you have, Sound keys. Yeah, we'll make the sound key layers red. Now, depending on how many cubes you have, is how many sound key layers you're going to need. So if I go to Effect here, Trap Code, Sound Keys. Because sound keys only supports up to 3 layers, basically. Range 1, 2, and 3. That's all it has. So let's solo this layer. And bring in our audio. Back to sound keys. Music. So, these are your cubes. Just think of these as your cubes going up and down. So what I want it to do is that you need to find one. Just quickly script through it. Okay, this one goes all the way up there. This will be 100% for the green cube. And let's add the second range by going to Activate or Active. Let's select one of these blue cubes. I'll go to this teal color. There we go. You can either change it depending on how high, like, oh, think of it, the bottom is 0%, the top is 100%. And think of this as how high the cube is for these two. But since this is like a low value, we'll just set this at the same height to match perspectively. But maybe just a little lower. That way it sticks out of the ground more. There we go. And then we just go apply. Now just select the keys layer, press U. And we can turn off the layer now. Go back to here. Now it has all these keyframes here for our values. So all we need to do, grain cube, Alt click the stopwatch for the animation in the animation engine. Drag that pick whip or parent it to, and this one's what? Oh, the green cube. This is the green cube. So number 1 is what we put for green. Just minimize that now. Go to the blue cube, do the same thing. And go to output 2, which is our blue cube. Bam. Now, this is going to take a lot out of your CPU and video card because we're rendering multiple element layers, and then on top of that, all these keyframes to make them go up and down to the music. Let's just take let's go down to quarter here. Oh no, I'll just let this render out, and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so I rendered about almost 8 seconds. So let's just take a look on how well it reacts. Okay, so it worked out pretty well. Now, you're going to have to play around with the sound keys and where group. Here, let's go back. Where the main which layers the main keys are, like that piano. I think it's one of these other green ones. You can even use, so if you want to, like, oh, I can't get all of them. Well, you can have more than one selected. So it'll take the values of all 3 and put them into one layer. So if you click apply and go back, turn this off. So you're going to have to play around with which one of those audio bars are the main keys. So you can get the cubes to react to which one. Now, it looked all right, but we can make it better. So when these are moving up and down, it wasn't really giving us motion, but we can easily fix that. Just remember, set up all your cubes first before you start adding effects like motion blur, because that will take up more rendering time on your edit time. So we gave it a little bit of motion blur. So I think there we go, like right there. It's kind of moving out. So let's just render part of that there. Just real quick. Okay, so here we go. Let's give it a try. Okay. Kind of getting annoyed, right? That's what editors do. They listen to the same audio over and over, and sometimes you just get annoyed. Just take a break and come back to it. Because listening to the same audio over and over again. But now, how we have set it up is that we can easily move these cubes and not worry about the position of the cube in Element. So because we attach those position nulls to the control null that we created. So I can move it, whoops, make sure you move it correctly so you're not messing up the perspective. So I can move it over here, and we can easily, and it will still go up and down in the same spot. Cool, right? So let's just move these a little bit closer. There we go. Voila. Those are our cubes. Now, it is time consuming to get all the effects turned on, like the ambient occlusion, because if you turn it on one layer, it won't turn it on for the others. So just real quick, let's just turn on the ambient occlusion. If you're good with a couple cubes you've set up, and this is like, oh, this is how I want it set up, then you go ahead and turn on the ambient occlusion so you don't have to go through all 20-something layers. I think I had like 15 or so cubes. I don't know the exact number for that audio react layer I uploaded a while back. So I had like 15, 18 cubes, and it was a pain going through all the element layers. So if you're like, oh, okay, this is how I set it up, go ahead and start playing with it. So we turned on ambient occlusion. Let's go up to like 5 so we can see that depth here. So there's the ambient. Just gives it a little bit more depth. We can even turn up the gamma to like 5. Make that ambient darker. So the higher the value for gamma, darker the ambient color is. Okay, so we used the flat color because if we go to the glow here, because the flat color can easily be, because we just want these to glow. We don't want like the reflection to glow. But since the flat color is easy, we can easily make it glow without turning on glow for the other spots of the reflection. So we'll just glow intensity down to like 1, turn the radius down to like 2, maybe like 1.5. I don't want to, because we're gonna have if you're gonna have a bunch of cubes, having a lot of glow might be too distracting. Maybe 0.5 for the glow. That seems good right there. So glow intensity 0.5, radius 1.5. So if we go back to here, oh wait, this is what time consuming. You have to make sure ambient occlusion is 5 and 0.5. Oh wait, 5 and 5. Okay. Go to here, render settings, ambient occlusion 5, enable it, gamma 5. Go down to the glow. I think we had it for 1.5. It's 1.5. Oh, there we go. Glow intensity is 0.5. And the glow radius is 1.5. Okay, so now that we got the glow set up and the ambient occlusion, I think that's it. Except for the optical flares. Now this was optional. Do not need to do this. Let's just get a flare here. And we'll get a nice bright one. Make it 3D. Oh. What am I doing? Okay, there we go. Add. Now let's just add push in the camera here. Let's move this optical flare. Let's say 500. Oh wait, negative 500. But I mostly just I just like oh man. Here we go. There we go. We can have something like this. There we go. That looks much better. So negative 200. Let's give it a tint. A blue tint, like a bluish tint. More green. There we go. And I think the last thing is to turn on the glow for the floor. I don't think, yeah, just the floor. There we go. 0.5. I think that's good right there. And then you can you can do different effects like play with the depth of field. Quick way to judge the distance is to go to the floor, go to the depth of field, and turn on focus indicator. Then if you go to the distance and go like 500, you'll see red here. So the very bright red is what it's going to be focusing on. So we need like 800. 750. Okay, so this is where it starts to really bog down your computer, even though there's a bunch, only like 3 objects in here. Because there's multiple element layers, and then all the animation for the sound keys, all those up and down movements. So depth of field really takes it out. Let's see. I want to focus on this ridge right here. Wait for it to render. Just going to have to play with it. Let's go back down to like 50. So the aperture and blur level is what I'm playing with. Yeah, there we go. And then what we'll do is create another, whoops, not render. Create a new composition, and this is final CC comp. CC stands for color correction. And we'll go to our project here and bring down main comp 2. Quickly create an adjustment layer. Let's turn it to quarter for now. So we can go to curves. Let's just darken some of those colors and then brighten some of the bright colors up. There we go. Difference depending on what you're trying to achieve. And then Video Copilot released a free plugin called Color Vibrance. So you can like change the whole color if you want to. So we can change the amount of vibrance here, like how much it affects it. Preserve luminance, brightness. Let's just tweak this. Oh wait, this is on the comp. I want to put this on the adjustment layer. There we go, right after the curves. And we'll kind of give this like a whitish blue tint. So that's without the color correction, which darkens it. And then the color vibrance brings out most of the colors. This will add severe render time, but you can add the grain to it. So what this does is it scatters the color, but we will turn down the intensity for size, softness, and aspect ratio to 0.1, and then go to the channel settings and go to 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Okay, so usually in videos when you're trying to render, depending on how many colors you provide with the project settings, so there's 8, 16, and 32. So if we turn this up to 32 bits per channel, okay, so even at 32 bits per channel, you still see these rings here for the flare. Maybe some colors depending on what you're creating. So what this add grains does, just smooths it. It just smooths it out. See, if I zoom in here, see those rings? Smooths it out. It does add a lot to your render time, but it will turn out better in the end. Let's turn this back to blue. And let's turn that color vibrance down just a just we don't want too much. Let's darken this just a little more. There we go. So that's what it looked like before without the color correction. And this is what it looks like with. So it kind of sharpens it. So I'll render a preview really quick in quarter resolution. I'll turn off the add grain for this preview. But I'll get back with you in a moment. Okay, I rendered it out, and let's give it a look. Okay. That seemed to work. Just a reminder, or just a review. You want to go to your Control Comp 2, and if you want another cube, just copy this. I'll just name it something differently really quick. To bring these in, just rename these red, 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 red. Once you have that, just copy that. Bring it to main comp 2. There we go. Red. And we need to put this below, above the green here. And make sure that the optical flare is on top. Then we grab the red control null right here. And then just move this over. Go into the thing. Change this to a red. Sound keys. Activate number 3. Go to number one of the. We'll just take all the values of red right now. Apply. And go to the animation engine on this. Sound keys U. Drag it to the number 3. And that's it. And then turn this off. Bam. Oh wait, did it attach correctly? Oh, there we go. There we go. So now it's going up. And that's how you do it. And just repeat the process of renaming these, bringing them into here, and placing them in the proper order to make sure that these don't overlap and on top of each other. Okay? There's one thing I forgot to mention in the tutorial. So when you have more than 3 cubes, all you would have to do is duplicate the sound keys layer. We'll call this number 2, sound keys 2. We select the sound keys. All we'd have to do is just change these ranges. So if we want a yellow cube over here, let's just take range 1 here. And it doesn't have to be like this. You can designate one sound key layer to be green. So we can have this sound key layer be for green cubes. So we can have 3 cubes that are green, and we can make this all be in the middle here. And this one can be red. And then all we would have to do is just drag the values over here. To the red cubes. And just play around with where you want them set up, like which values you want for the song and for the cube. And then once you do that, just click apply. And then these keys will be updated to the new values. I think that covers it. Go ahead and create your own effect or your own scene. And thanks for watching.